Hello, lone wolves. Have you ever met a man who seems to move through the world as if he's operating on a completely different frequency, untouched by the pressures and expectations that weigh down everyone else? He doesn't follow the crowd, doesn't seek approval, and yet somehow his presence lingers long after he's gone. That man is what many refer to as a Sigma male, a rare and enigmatic personality type that stands apart not by loudness, but by a powerful, quiet presence. This man doesn't demand attention. He's not the loudest voice in the room, nor is he the one fighting to be seen or constantly looking for praise. In fact, on the surface, you might overlook him entirely, but something about him sticks with you. There's a calmness, a grounded energy, and a mysterious depth that makes him impossible to forget. So what makes him so magnetic? It's not bravado or flashy behavior. It's how he operates. In a world where most people are screaming for attention, on social media, in relationships, in conversations, the Sigma male simply watches. He listens. He moves through the noise with ease, completely detached from a need to impress or conform. And that detachment, that effortless disinterest in the game everyone else is playing, it's intoxicating. While others are chasing status, validation, love, he attracts, not through manipulation, but through self-possession. He's not trying to be mysterious. He is mysterious because he's genuinely content being in his own world, led by his own rules, and uninterested in performing for approval. In this deep dive, we're going to explore what makes this kind of man so compelling, from his mindset to his behavior and the psychological impact he has on those around him. We'll break down why his quiet confidence disrupts the social script and why both men and women alike find themselves fascinated by him. Stick around, because once you understand the inner world of the Sigma male, you won't look at masculinity or attraction the same way again. 1. The Fortress of Privacy. Why Sigma males reveal nothing. The art of selective secrecy. In a world obsessed with exposure, where people share every thought, every meal, every fleeting emotion on social media, there exists a rare kind of man who does the exact opposite. The Sigma male. While others rush to broadcast their lives in real time, he moves quietly, deliberately, choosing privacy over publicity, mystery over validation. He doesn't document every success for likes. He doesn't announce every move to gain approval. And he certainly doesn't measure his worth by the number of eyes watching. Instead, he keeps his personal life guarded behind metaphorical walls, sharing only what he wants when he wants, and never more than necessary. For the Sigma male, privacy is power. His secrecy isn't rooted in dishonesty. It's a form of self-governance. It's about maintaining control in a world where oversharing is often mistaken for authenticity. He finds value in experiences that don't need to be recorded or posted. Moments that are sacred because they belong to him alone, not to an audience. His life isn't lived for performance. It's lived for meaning, depth, and truth. And that quiet privacy, it's not just admirable, it's magnetic. Human psychology craves the unknown. When someone reveals little, the mind races to fill in the blanks. That's why people are so drawn to the Sigma male. His silence speaks volumes. His refusal to overshare invites questions. What's he really like? What's he hiding? Why won't he let me in? This enigmatic energy creates a gravitational pull. The more he withholds, the more others want to know. But gaining access to a Sigma male's inner world isn't easy. He doesn't open up just to be liked. He opens up only to those who've earned his trust. And even then, only selectively. This is where the Sigma truly masters to leave them wanting more effect. He doesn't flood conversations with personal anecdotes or emotional confessions. He offers just enough, measured, intentional, and intriguing, not to manipulate, but to maintain self-respect and boundaries. And in a culture that celebrates transparency to the point of exhaustion, the man who keeps his life private becomes the rarest, most compelling story of all, while others are open books, constantly flipped through and forgotten. The Sigma male is a closed novel with a beautiful, locked cover, and the mystery of what lies inside is what keeps everyone wanting to read more. 2. The unpredictable wild card, why you can't pin him down. The illusion of control and why he shatters it. In a world where predictability is the norm, where people cling to routines, seek validation before making moves, and mold themselves to fit expectations, The Sigma male stands as a complete anomaly. He isn't easily understood, and that's precisely what makes him so fascinating. One moment, he's fully present, locked in a deep, meaningful conversation, effortlessly reading the room and engaging with intention. The next moment, he's gone, vanished without warning, leaving no explanation and no trail. But make no mistake, this isn't flakiness. This isn't inconsistency. It's unpredictability by design. The Sigma male does not operate on anyone else's timeline. He engages when it feels right. He exits when his energy is no longer aligned with the moment. He doesn't stick around out of obligation or offer apologies for prioritizing himself. And in doing so, he shatters the illusion of control that most people cling to. You can't pin him down, not because he's trying to be elusive, but because he simply is elusive by nature. He doesn't conform. He doesn't follow a script. He doesn't play into expectations or perform to earn approval. His moves are unpatterned, his rhythms his own, his presence impossible to predict. And that unpredictability, it's magnetic. People are drawn to what they can't predict. They're captivated by the unknown, by the untamed mind that doesn't play by the rules. The Sigma male doesn't seek permission to be himself. He just is, unapologetically. And that raw authenticity radiates a kind of freedom that most people can't even comprehend, let alone emulate. In a society filled with followers, people who wait for signals, directions, and cues, the Sigma male walks his own path without flinching. His autonomy, his unpredictability, his quiet rebellion against being figured out. It makes him endlessly intriguing and completely unforgettable. He's the wild card you never see coming. The one who can't be categorized, controlled, or contained. And in that unpredictability lies a wild, untamed kind of power. One that challenges everything we've been taught about connection, attraction, and identity. 3. The silent power move. Why less talking equals more influence. The weight of a quiet man. In a world that rewards noise, where people talk endlessly to fill the void, over-explain their every move, and seek constant validation through their words, the Sigma male does something radically different. He chooses silence, not out of shyness, not because he has nothing to say, but because he understands something most people don't. That silence itself can be a power move. Most men feel the need to talk to prove their worth. They ramble to seem interesting, fill awkward pauses out of discomfort, and explain themselves excessively in the hopes of being understood. But the Sigma male doesn't play that game. He speaks only when there's something worth saying. And that's exactly why, when he does speak, people lean in. They listen, because every word carries weight. This selective speech style creates an aura of depth and mystery. People begin to wonder, what is he thinking? What's behind that calm expression? Why isn't he reacting like everyone else? His silence becomes a psychological pull, an unanswered question that demands attention. And the less he reveals, the more curious others become. Sigma males are not intimidated by silence. They thrive in it. While others rush to fill every second with noise, the Sigma is at peace and quiet. He's deeply rooted in his own thoughts, his own truth, and he doesn't require external validation to feel complete. He doesn't talk to be heard. He talks to deliver impact, and often his silence is more than 1,000 words ever could. There's a rare kind of confidence in a man who doesn't need to speak to command attention. That calm, self-contained energy radiates assurance. It's the power of presence without performance, of influence without effort. And in a society obsessed with oversharing, a man who knows the value of silence becomes both powerful and unforgettable. He's not trying to dominate the room with volume. He dominates it with stillness. That is the silent power move of the Sigma male. For the anti-chase philosophy, why he attracts by doing nothing, the desperation epidemic. In today's world, the majority of men have been conditioned to believe that chasing is the only way to get what they want, especially when it comes to women's status or validation. They double text after being ignored. They shift their schedules to accommodate someone else's availability. They seek validation in small doses, hoping it will be enough to feel seen, heard, or wanted. This constant pursuit, this exhausting need to prove their worth, is rooted in desperation, and people can sense it. But the Sigma male, he doesn't chase. In fact, he doesn't even move. While others scramble for attention and approval, the Sigma remains still, unbothered, self-contained, and deeply secure in his own presence. He doesn't beg for energy because he's too busy protecting his own. This power of inaction is where the real magic lies. By refusing to chase, the Sigma male flips the entire dynamic. Now, the attention comes to him. Women begin to wonder, why isn't he interested? What's different about him? That unanswered question becomes a spark that ignites intrigue. Opportunities, whether in romance, business, or life, begin to present themselves without him having to beg for them. His stillness becomes gravitational. This is the out-of-reach effect in action. Human psychology is wired to desire what it can't easily obtain. The more someone resists being available on demand, the more they become desirable. And because the Sigma male doesn't play the game of desperation, because he doesn't chase, plead, or lower his standards, he naturally becomes the one others chase. He doesn't posture. He doesn't perform. He simply exists in his own lane, on his own terms. And that effortless confidence, that refusal to chase, it turns a Sigma into a prize, one that people are willing to work for, fight for, and chase after. In a world flooded with tryhards, his stillness becomes a storm. And without lifting a finger, the Sigma male draws others in, simply by doing nothing. 5. The ice-cold composure. Why emotional control equals unshakable power. The quiet strength that commands respect. In a culture that increasingly encourages emotional openness, especially among men, there's a growing narrative that vulnerability is the ultimate sign of strength. Society says, be expressive, show your feelings, wear your heart on your sleeve. But the Sigma male doesn't subscribe to this one-size-fits-all ideology. He's not emotionless. Far from it. He feels everything with intensity. But the difference lies in how he channels that emotional energy. He doesn't perform his emotions for approval or validation. He doesn't leak vulnerability to earn sympathy. Instead, he controls his emotional world with a rare and powerful precision. This is what sets the Sigma apart. While many react impulsively, lashing out, venting online, or drowning in emotional chaos, the Sigma male remains composed. He is calm under pressure, grounded during storms, and indifferent to provocations. His emotional restraint isn't repression, it's mastery. It's not that he doesn't feel, it's that he refuses to be ruled by those feelings. This stoic advantage gives him an edge most never develop. His calm, unreadable presence becomes a shield and a magnet at once. He's unshakable because nothing and no one can easily throw him off center. He's unpredictable because no one knows what's going on beneath the surface. And he's unreadable, which drives people wild with curiosity. In a world full of men who react loudly and emotionally to every trigger, the Sigma stands as a fortress of quiet strength. This controlled demeanor makes him a puzzle people can't help but try to solve. Why doesn't he get flustered? Why is he so calm? What's he thinking? But that's the twist. There's no complex game being played. He's not trying to manipulate or deceive. He's simply a man who has mastered himself. And that mastery makes him feel like a riddle wrapped in steel. Ultimately, this emotional composure becomes his power. When others lose their cool, he remains ice cold. When drama rises, he disengages. When chaos comes knocking, he doesn't answer. And because of this, he becomes the kind of man people respect, admire, and yes, fear a little. In a world desperate for attention and prone to outbursts, the Sigma male's emotional control is his quiet crown. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it commands a room without a single word. Final thoughts. The Sigma male blueprint. The Sigma male doesn't stumble into mystery. He doesn't accidentally become enigmatic, magnetic, or quietly powerful. His presence, his energy, his way of being, it's all intentional. The mystery surrounding him isn't a tactic or a trick. It's the natural result of how he lives, what he values, and what he refuses to compromise on. His privacy isn't a defense mechanism. It's a form of self-respect. His unpredictability isn't chaos, it's freedom. His silence isn't emptiness, it's depth. And his emotional control isn't suppression, it's power. Each of these qualities weaves together into something much greater than the sum of its parts. An aura of unshakable confidence, calm dominance, and effortless magnetism. While most men chase approval, seek attention, and wear their emotions like open wounds for the world to see, the Sigma male turns inward. He builds silently. He moves deliberately. He plays no one else's game but his own. And because of that, people feel him before he speaks. They remember him long after he's gone. They're drawn to him, not because of what he tries to be, but because of who he already is. In a society that celebrates constant noise, shallow validation, and performative masculinity, the Sigma male represents a rare form of power, still, quiet, and deeply rooted in self-awareness. He doesn't shout to be seen. He doesn't posture to be respected. He simply is, and that in itself becomes unforgettable. If you're tired of playing the same games, following the same rules, and losing yourself in the chase for approval, then it's time to study the Sigma blueprint. Not to copy it, but to understand the mindset behind it, to embody it, because the Sigma male doesn't live to impress. He lives to express, and in doing so, he becomes a man no one can ignore. Stay tuned. This is only the beginning. The Sigma path isn't about doing more. It's about being more. And once you unlock that mindset, you'll never live the same again. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.